September 16, 1963, Malaya became Malaysia, and last year Prime Minister Najib Razak declared that this date will now be a public holiday. September 16th this year is the inaugural public holiday, 47 years after Malaya became Malaysia. While the government's response to the inaugural Malaysia Day seems to have been somewhat subdued, non-governmental organizations, civil society groups and private individuals have taken it upon themselves to create a festive mood for a historically important event. One such event was a street carnival at swank Jalan Bangkung in Bangsar, which turned the quiet neighbourhood into a hive of cultural and intellectual activity. There were performances by artists and school children, while a bazaar featured local and indigenous products and handicrafts and showcases by various NGOs. Some of the NGOs that took part included the Women's Aid Organization, the Breast Cancer Welfare Association, We Are Malaysia, World Wildlife Fund for Nature, and the Malayan Nature Society. There were also talks by groups like the Bar Council and film screenings by independent filmmakers. Fundraising dinners were also organized by the participating restaurants that line Bangkung Row. Celebrations started at 3 p.m. and culminated at 10 p.m. with a wayang kulit show by the Baju Merah Pak Dola Troupe, which came all the way from Kelantan. Elsewhere, the Annex Gallery at the Central Market also held their Malaysia Day events.
Okay, for Malaysia Day today, what we have behind me is we have opened a booth. The booth, especially for TX2 campaign, we are painting faces and body parts with tiger stripes and colors. Apart from that, we're also giving them education and a bit of awareness on the status of our tigers under the My Cat banner. And apart from that, there's also another team, the Save Our Seafood campaign team, who are educating the public about the diet to choose our seafood safely.
What made you want to be a part of the Malaysia Coup event?
Well, tigers and Malaysia go hand in hand. What is the only animal on our national emblem and coat of arms? It is the tiger. The tiger was chosen for a specific reason, that is to symbolize the strength of the nation. But our strength, the tiger, is dwindling in Malaysia itself. From 3,000 about 60 years ago, now we only have 500 of them. So does this really symbolize the strength of our nation by the dwindling number of population of tigers? So that's what we are here for. We want to tell people, besides the ecological and the reason why we need to conserve tiger is because it's part of our culture. It's our tradition. We've had tigers since way back, so why do we need to lose them now?
What are the future plans of TX2 campaign?
We started this TX2 campaign earlier this year because it is the year of the tiger in the Chinese calendar. So towards the end of the year, we're moving away from all these publicity events. We're now lobbying for the government to strengthen enforcement and protection for our tigers. There's this big tiger summit that's happening in Russia in November, and we want our Prime Minister to declare something strong for our tigers in the next 10 years, because the National Tiger Action Plan has already been adopted by our 10th Malaysia Plan. So what else do we need? You know, we need more commitment, we need stronger protection for our tigers right now. So that's what we want. We want the Prime Minister to declare all this at the Tiger Summit. There is a wildlife crime hotline that they can report any wildlife related crimes to. This 24-hour wildlife crime hotline, the number is 019-356-4194. You can report wildlife crime anytime, and it's important for everyone to install this number in their mobile phones. It's like as important as when you dial 999 to call the police or bomber. This is as important as that, because wildlife crime can happen anywhere, anytime. It could be next door, it could be your friend. So yeah, we want them to do that.
Okay. Any wishes for Malaysia Day?
We can enjoy Malaysia and we can enjoy the tigers here. So let's keep the tigers roaring.
I'm from Gerai OA or Gerai Orang Asal, the indigenous people stall.
Can you tell me more about what Gerai OA does?
We are volunteers and we run a mobile stall. We try to help the communities by selling the items, but 100% goes back to the communities that make them.
How is it sustainable?
Okay, it's not sustainable, frankly speaking. It's not. We do not receive or ask for funding. We only request for rent-free sites, which we use when we set up the stall, like over here. And basically 100% is given back to the community, so nothing is taken by the volunteers. And the volunteers are not paid, so we don't really incur costs like rental or electricity. And storage is also done by NGOs, friendly NGOs that give us little spaces here and there to store the stuff. The only expenses we do incur is for training as well as pickups from the villages, as well as medical costs and other things that can be a bit draining, but we managed to get our way around that. Okay, for most of the training is in-house. That means either I run it or we use the other Orang Aslis or the Orang Asals as trainers. So it's quite cheap. Sometimes certain workshops are run by or funded by NGOs through their funding, but it goes directly into the expenses of the training itself. We also run in-house, so we don't actually incur that much costs.
So how is Gerai OA benefiting the Orang Asal?
For the Orang Asal, I think it gives them an avenue. I'll never speak on their behalf. You actually have to ask the communities whether they do benefit from the communities involvement in Gerai. But we do notice that they have, especially for the women, they have an outlet for their creativity. They have access to a market, and a market that pays slightly better than if they went through a middleman. And they have choices. In the past, a village would not have much of a choice. The middleman said that that's the price, that is the price. But at least from here, we can tell them this is the basic price. We'll pay you this much first, and then when we make the sale, we pay them the remaining items. So it's always paid 100%, but in 2 installments.
Now you're part of the Malaysia Coup event. What made you decide to join, and how do you think this event would help in the cause of the Orang Asal?
Well, Malaysia Coup is finally recognition for the fact that we have Sabah and Sarawak, which a lot of peninsular Malaysians keep forgetting. And because we do work in Sabah and Sarawak as well, we do know the sentiments over there. They do not like Peninsular Malaysia, except that the Peninsular Malaysians don't always recognize that they have rights as well on the east of Malaysia. So sometimes having an event like this at least gives people an avenue to showcase their culture, showcase their heritage, and also to show people that, look, we are all Malaysians, east or west, it doesn't matter. And especially in terms of religion or ethnic boundaries, in Sabah and Sarawak is so fluid compared to Peninsular Malaysia, which is one thing we should benefit from having our East Malaysian cousins is they really don't care. It's not an issue unlike over here. So sometimes we Peninsular Malaysians should really start acting like the Sabah and Sarawakians.
Things to learn from them. So what kind of issues do you see in Sabah and Sarawak that's very pressing and should be of everyone's concern?
Environmental problems are getting to be a bit difficult over there in parts of, especially in the interiors of Sabah and Sarawak. These are parts which are so far out there, most Malaysians don't even know these villages or these areas exist. And a lot of the damage is being done in those areas, those really pristine areas that are in the heart of, for example, Sabah or Sarawak. And it's really a crying shame because a lot of the development is done in our names, and the villagers do not always benefit from such developments, which was rained down upon them sometimes. And it's not going to do them or us any good if that area is going to be wiped off the map forever.
What are your other plans for Gerai OA, or do you do other projects with the Orang Asal as well?
Yeah, we do have some other projects with the Orang Asal. We are helping them to publish materials, to combine their traditional knowledge But more importantly is to make them understand that they have their own rights as well. So these rights we help, even though it's through crafts, they learn a lot about their rights through having processes like understanding that their material grows on land, the land does belong to them, and things like that. So it's a rather roundabout way to teach people about human rights and stuff like that. But it's something that they can understand better and they can fight for as well on their own. It's not just about us, the volunteers eventually will have to leave and the villagers will have to take over the projects themselves. So it's meant, basically, Gerai is meant to self-destruct.
Do you have any plans to make it for new projects more economically sustainable or viable in the future, maybe?
A lot of the projects we started with, the very early ones from about 7 years ago, are now quite stable actually. They actually sell a lot more on their own than through us. We're doing just a supplemental work as well as a bit of the design work. But they actually have their own buyers as well. For example, the ladies in Pulau Keri, they're fairly well known now. They've got business cards as well. They got handphones now. That's mobile coverage. So actually, people do call them up directly. They go for shows, performances, as well as do we call that craft demonstration. So they actually earn side income from their heritage, from their craft heritage. So that's what we're trying to build up. We're not trying to become a market for them. We're trying to build them a market so that they can run by themselves. Because the volunteers, frankly speaking, can't do this all the time. We do have to work eventually, and the volunteers do roll. Some volunteers are longer, some volunteers are shorter time with us, but all of us do have other work to do. So we can't do this full time. So we do have to make it so that it's eventually sustainable for the community itself.
Do you have any wishes or nak sampaikan salam Malaysia Day or yeah?
Yeah, sure. Happy Malaysia Day. This is the first time we get a holiday too. That's nice.
With less of skepticism.
With less skepticism. I know it is difficult because of the things that we've seen on the ground, but there is always hope because the younger generation is more in tune to what's going on, and they are our change. They will be what we can't do. They will do what we cannot do at all.
Great. Thank you, Rita.